Sydney Coulson's story in 2024 isn't just about basketball. It's about courage, faith, and rebellion in a league that often hides its fractures behind polished smiles. The WNBA found itself in turmoil after Coulson dropped what fans are calling the boldest truth bomb of the season. She didn't just transfer teams or make a cryptic post. She exposed what she believes to be a growing anti-Caitlin Clark sentiment inside the league. And she did it in her trademark style, fearless, humorous, and deeply human. For Coulson, this year wasn't just another chapter in her career. It was a turning point. After winning 2 championships with the Las Vegas Aces, she could have easily stayed where the lights were brightest and the wins came easiest. But something inside her said it was time to move. That decision wasn't driven by ego, money, or fame. It was about purpose. She left behind everything familiar to join a team still rebuilding its foundation, the Indiana Fever. To the outside world, it looked like a step backward. Why would a champion walk away from a dynasty to join a struggling team? But Coulson knew that true growth only comes from discomfort. She described it as a calling, something beyond basketball, something divine. Her now famous Instagram post, where she joked about enjoying what we did on the court and in the showers, might have been seen as humor, but underneath the laughter was truth. She felt God pushing her toward a new path, one that wouldn't just test her game, but her faith. When Indiana's general manager Amber Cox and head coach Stephanie White called, they didn't promise her glory. They promised purpose. They wanted her to help rebuild a culture, to lead, to guide, and to teach a new generation of players what it means to play with heart. It wasn't the easy choice, but it was the right one, and it would change everything. Coulson became the heartbeat of Indiana almost overnight. Known for her humor, she didn't just bring laughs. She brought light. She showed that leadership doesn't always shout. It sometimes smiles, listens, and lifts others quietly. Her teammates began to see her not just as a veteran, but as a grounding force. Yet as she began finding her rhythm in Indiana, the league around her was growing louder with whispers. Rumors of favoritism, locker room politics, and resentment toward Caitlin Clark. The rookie phenom drawing all the attention, Coulson didn't buy into the narrative. While others rolled their eyes at the hype surrounding Clark, she saw a young player carrying an unimaginable weight. Fame, money, pressure. Caitlin had been thrown into the storm before she'd even learned to find her balance. Coulson recognized that burden because she'd lived it herself. From day one, she chose not to isolate Clark, but to embrace her. She made jokes, encouraged her through the noise, and treated her like a sister instead of a spotlight rival. When critics accused Coulson of chasing attention by joining Clark's team, she didn't flinch. "You can't hurt my feelings if I don't even know you," she quipped. That confidence wasn't arrogance, it was armor. She wasn't there to impress the league or feed the media. She was there to protect something real. Then came the moment that tested everything, Caitlin Clark's injury. The face of the league suddenly sidelined, forced to watch as the chatter grew uglier. Some said her fame had cursed the Fever, others mocked her as overhyped. But Coulson refused to let the noise consume her teammate. She called Clark daily, reminded her that leadership isn't about scoring points, it's about presence. She urged her to stay vocal in huddles, to keep her teammates motivated, and to lead from wherever she was, even if that meant leading from the bench. That mentorship changed the entire tone inside the Fever's locker room. Players who once carried tension now shared laughter. Losses turned into lessons. Practices became moments of healing. Coulson's humor became therapy, her faith a compass. The team began to rediscover itself, not as a group of individuals chasing relevance, but as a family bonded by something deeper than basketball. When Coulson tore her ACL, fans expected Indiana's energy to collapse. Instead, it soared. The same woman who had once lifted others now became the center of their strength. From the sidelines, she continued to lead, keeping spirits high and laughter alive. Her injury became proof that leadership has nothing to do with minutes played and everything to do with heart. Even as she healed, the spotlight shifted back to her. The media began to notice that her story was bigger than basketball. She started landing commercials with brands like TJ Maxx, Kia, and DirecTV, not because she was chasing fame, but because her authenticity was magnetic. She even co-created her own comedy show, Unsupervised, capturing her bold humor and unapologetic personality. Through it all, Coulson remained the same, raw, funny, and real. "I'm just me everywhere I go," she said once, and it's that simplicity that became her superpower. In a league obsessed with image, Coulson became a reminder that honesty sells better than perfection. She wasn't trying to be glamorous or politically correct. She was trying to be human. Her move to Indiana gave her ownership of her story in a way Las Vegas never could. The Fever's rising popularity, fueled by Caitlin Clark's fame and a new wave of fans, placed Coulson right at the center of a cultural moment. As brands and viewers rushed to the WNBA, they weren't just buying into basketball, they were buying into authenticity. And no one embodied that better than Sydney Coulson. Her story became a reflection of what the league could be if it stopped chasing polish and started embracing personality. She wasn't afraid to laugh at herself, to be messy, to be open about faith, identity, or discomfort. That honesty became contagious. Younger players began to follow her lead, realizing that you don't have to fake perfection to be respected. Coulson's influence isn't measured in points, it's measured in people. In every rookie she mentored, in every teammate she lifted, and in every fan she made laugh. She showed that the WNBA doesn't need to mimic the NBA's flash to matter. It needs to celebrate what makes it human. Even her queerness, something others might turn into a headline, she carried effortlessly, never as a statement but as a fact. She didn't use it to stand out. She used it to stand firm. In doing so, she showed that visibility doesn't have to shout to be powerful. As the season went on, Sydney Coulson became the soul of the Fever and the mirror of a changing WNBA. Her story isn't about rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's about redefining what leadership looks like in a league still finding its identity. She stood by Caitlin Clark when others distanced themselves. She laughed when others complained. She believed when others doubted, and maybe that's why her words about the league's hidden agendas hit so hard. Because they didn't come from anger, they came from love. From someone who wanted to see women's basketball rise, not just in ratings, but in truth. Sydney Coulson didn't come to play politics. She came to remind the league that real leadership doesn't silence authenticity, it amplifies it. And in doing so, she may have just rewritten the future of the WNBA.